I remember my mentor, Professor Prem Prakash, used to say strabismus is like sociology. We have to maintain a balance in this society. By sociology, we maintain a balance in the between the two eyes by strabismology. So from haves to have-nots, that's what we do. Sometimes we have cases like there is a missing medial rectus altogether. Now this picture you see, there is a large angle exotropia and there is hardly any adduction in either eye. So preoperatively when we saw this, we thought that okay, if we find a medial rectus, we will advance it or strengthen it, tuck it, or do a plication and do a weakening of the lateral rectus. But in this case we found there was no medial rectus altogether, and we had to then do a modified Nishida's procedure in this case. And you see the post-op results. The eye 90 prisms of exo has almost got corrected, and improvement of adduction has also been achieved. So Nishida's is a very good procedure which has come to our armory. And in schematically, if you see, what we are doing is we are positioning the muscles, the vertical recti muscles, with non-absorbable sutures, and we are having these at 8 millimeters from the insertion of the superior and the inferior rectus. We take 2/3 of the bite and preserving the vessels. These non-absorbable 2 or 3 bites are taken, and then it is stuck together, stitched to the sclera closer to the missing muscle. And this gives us wonderful results. At times we have seen there may be an overcorrection when we are doing it for 6th nerve palsies. At times we have had to undo the medial rectus recession in that case. Just see a video of this. So this is how the vertical recti are being hooked. So first this superior rectus, and then 8 millimeters behind the insertion you make a mark. 50 ethibond sutures we are passing. In this case, taking about 1/3 of the muscle into our bites. And now I have made a mark 13 millimeters from the limbus. So medial rectus is supposed to be 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter further down we want to put it, so 13 millimeters. So about 5 in a child, 5 plus 8, 13 millimeters. So in this case, we have placed this superior rectus stitch 13 millimeters from the limbus. Now similarly, the inferior rectus, I am marking 8 mm, and same 50 ethibond sutures passed, and then a bite is taken in the sclera. And both the sides we have got the vertical recti stitch. Now this is the vector forces of these vertical recti are going to work not only for adduction, but it will still continue to work for vertical effect. So we do not see any limitation of vertical effect. Remember, when we are weakening the opposites equally, nothing changes in the extraocular muscles. So when we are weakening the superior and the inferior rectus equally, there is no vertical shift. So you have to be careful intraoperatively that you do not create an undue tightness of one of the other muscles. So you can do a intraoperative FDT and see what is the situation. So, and what do we do for third nerve palsies? Yes, we have mentioned that we can do a periosteal anchoring of the globe, and this we had described by using initially the DCR approach and then the precurricular approach by passing the sutures, non-absorbable sutures being passed, and the globe is stitched. The other thing which we can do is weakening the lateral rectus effectively by periosteally anchoring the lateral rectus to the lateral periosteal wall. So this is totally on the opposite side. Here we are anchoring the lateral rectus to the periosteum, and on the other side we are doing the periosteal anchoring of the globe. So both may be done together also, but remember these are going to limit the movements altogether. We may get an alignment only in the primary position, and we should counsel the patients accordingly. The other procedure which has now come into our armamentarium is the lateral rectus to MR transposition. Now we are splitting the lateral rectus and transpositioning the this split lateral rectus to the medial rectus side, and that is what we can do. We'll have a video of that maybe after some time. This is showing you a partial VRT. Now if you have a 6th nerve palsy and the EZO is such a marked one, the eye doesn't roll back. So what do we do? Abduction is totally deficient. In such a case, a cross action VRT can be done in order to correct the ESO and improve the abduction also. Now, why we are talking of a cross section VRT? The reason is that you may do a Scott-Foster suture added to your VRT and achieve similar result, but the problem is that is non-adjustable. A cross section VRT gives you a control on the vertical rectus force and still you can adjust it. So just imagine, I mean, we are talking that we have to be little more intelligent enough to see. Now what do you see in this case? There is a third nerve palsy, of course, but you notice that ptosis is there when the person is abducting, and during adduction and on looking down the ptosis gets corrected. Now this we are seeing that there is an aberrant regeneration. The innervation which was supposed to come to medial rectus and the inferior rectus has actually gone to the LPS. We can use it in order to correct the ptosis, and that is what has been done. We have operated on the other eye, opposite eye. The lateral rectus has been weakened, the medial rectus has been strengthened, and we get a correction not only of the alignment of the eyes but also of the ptosis, because there will be a fixation duress. Jampolsky gave us this new term, the fixation duress. That means if the eye has to act against force, more innervation will come, and this we are talking of the fixating eye. So the same innervation goes to the peritic eye, and that will help us in correcting the ptosis. So correct the misinnervation. If not possible, at least we have to do it to the maximum. So this is also used in Duane's retraction syndrome cases. We may have a talk by Dr. Ibrahim Aldawi if he comes there, who was supposed to be talking on that. So in DRS cases we have used the Y splitting of the LRs. This is showing you how we do it in case of an exo DRS, a Y split LR. Now this is the retraction you can all see, and this is correcting it and also getting a. So when do we choose to do a lateral rectus Y split in a case of DRS? Anybody? So we will do it when there is lateral rectus action there. We do not want to do extirpation of the lateral rectus at all. We do not want to do a periosteal anchoring of the lateral rectus if there is an abduction force coming in the lateral rectus normally. Why sacrifice that? So in such cases you should always choose to do a LR Y split and a recession accordingly. So this is an adjustable partial VRT which we can add to later on to correct the abduction deficit which is happening. So in this case of exo DRS we have done on both the eyes lateral rectus weakening, and finally you can see that the abduction can be improved as well as the retraction is minimized to the maximum possible. Disinnervations lead to another problem that we have, the CCDDs, the congenital cranial disinnervation disorders. So there are aberrant innervations which are happening. One of the most common example you have seen in the form of the Marcus-Gunn jaw winking which we see in the LPS. We also see it in the form of Duane's retraction syndrome, and we also described a new one, that is the SID syndrome, the synergistic innervational downshoots. Now this is a synergistic divergence. What is that? When a child is looking on one side, it's fine, but when he tries to look on the other side, there is extra abduction coming to the right eye. So there is more lateral rectus activity when the eye is actually looking on the opposite side. Why is it happening? Because the MR innervation is going to the right LR. The right MR innervation is actually misdirected to the right lateral rectus. So what we can do in such a case is do a split LR, bring it to the medial rectus. So that probably is an ideal thing. Something went wrong, but there is ideal solution has also been provided, and that is LR Y split to the medial rectus. So this is that video I think you can see here. So limbal incision is made on the lateral rectus exposure. The lateral rectus first hooked with Jemisin's and then Green's hook, and now I am splitting the lateral rectus. So you split it far behind up to 15 to 20 mm, and then 60 Weichel sutures are passed on the either sides of these split ends of the lateral rectus. Now I have to bring these split ends underneath the superior and the inferior rectus. So it's very simple to bring it under the inferior rectus. The inferior oblique doesn't come on your in your way. But when we have the superior passage to be made, there is a problem, and we need to do either a posterior tenectomy of the superior oblique to make it possible, or we have to go little far behind and bring it underneath the superior oblique also, and then bring it on the medial rectus side and pass these split ends, and you can have even a cross section lateral rectus to have a very good effect and control. Like in this case we did, we actually got a 10 prisms of ESO post-op initially, which will be taken care of by a slight under correction happening later. This we can make it adjustable, and that's one article we have published, that there is an adjustable split LR Y split which we can do. And this is post-op, that the child is having a slight ESO, but the improvement in adduction is coming because the innervation has not been now been misdirected. Innervation has got redirected to the right position. Similarly, a synergistic innervational downshoot. Now what do you see in this? Earlier we saw that when you are looking London, the eye is talking Tokyo. Now you have a situation that when you are looking towards Tokyo, this eye is looking down to Sydney. So we need to have a inferior rectus misdirection corrected. On this side there is innervation going to the inferior rectus. So what is the suggestion? You disinsert the inferior rectus and transpose it to the missing side. This is how you can see a pre-op video, how the misdirected innervation is coming. And this is post-op showing you that the adduction has improved as well as the downshoot has been corrected. So this is the video post-op, and this is just schematically you can see what we have done. Transpose the inferior rectus close to the MR. See that the adduction is so good now, and there is no innervational downshoot. So this is another thing which can be done. Now we have the imaging also, and use it intelligently again. We can do a dynamic MRI, that means in different gazes you can see the imaging. This is the lateral rectus in dextro gaze, and you can see there is a cross firing of both lateral recti simultaneously. It's a simultaneous abduction because there is an increase in the muscles in this position compared to the primary position of the lateral recti. On the levo gaze, what you see here is the lateral rectus is firing, but instead of medial rectus, it's the inferior rectus which is having this firing. So what we have done is disinserted the inferior rectus and placed it in place of the medial rectus, and it will correct. And we can do for the lateral rectus, bring it to the opposite side and correct it. So LR split and brought it to the medial rectus side for the synergistic divergence, and inferior rectus brought to the adduction, we can correct that. So to conclude, the strategy is that we identify the misinnervation, transpose the misdirected muscle to the correct side, and we can achieve the correction in different gazes that we want. So that is probably the today's scenario we want you to do. I think you all are young people, and you are going to take forward the strabismus surgery in different parts of your working place. Be a squintellectual, and you have to chop the muscles intelligently, and you can change the careers and futures of so many children. This girl you see here, she was almost heartbroken when she came from Singapore with this third nerve palsy. Most of the people had said nothing much can be done, but with God's grace we could restore the alignment not only in this eye, but even the ptosis got corrected with the fixation duress surgery on the contralateral eye, and she is now a bright kid at Cornell University in New York. And I really feel that each and every such child in future you will be able to manage and give them a new life. A small word about strabismus, because strabismus is something which is dear to me, but I think misunderstood by many. So I generally give this small joke at the end. A ship is not functioning, and many engineers try to do something with it, they fiddle with it, but they can't do anything. And finally a wise man is called. He just goes around tinkering on the different parts of the machine and says, okay, give me a screwdriver. He gets a screwdriver and tightens that one screw which was actually problematic, and the engine starts roaring. Then comes the question of reimbursement. Fortunately, with the intervention of Prime Minister's office, we have now got it through him that yes, reimbursement for squint cases will also be possible because they are restoring binocular alignment. But Uncle Scrooges are there, they will question, how much do you charge? So say, somebody says, okay, 10,000 rupees. 10,000 for tightening one screw? So what did that wise man say? He said that I have used only 1 rupee for that screw tightening. The 999 was actually for finding out which screw to tighten. So strabismus is like that. Your job is first to find out what is going wrong and then correct it in the right way. Thank you.